Mysteries of American Archaeology. Fossilized footprints, White Sands National Park, New Mexico. Evidence that humans roamed North America between 21,000 and 23,000 years ago was revealed with the discovery of ancient, fossilized footprints in the White Sands National Park in New Mexico. These dates were suggested in September 2021, and by November 2022 a new study had already disputed them. It argued that the footprints could have been left thousands of years later and are actually between 15,000 and 13,000 years old. The prints were found buried in layers of sediment across the ancient Lake Otero and belonged mostly to children and teenagers. Poverty Point, Louisiana. Poverty Point's ginormous earthen mounds and concentric half-circles were shaped by hand, without domestic animals in centuries before the wheel was invented. The oldest, Lower Jackson Mound, has been dated to around 3500 BC. Ongoing archaeological studies suggest it was an ancient residential, trade and ceremonial center, but we still aren't 100% sure. It's thought that Poverty Point was abandoned sometime around 1100 BC and that another indigenous group moved in around AD 700, but only for a brief period. America's Stonehenge, Salem, New Hampshire. Okay, so it's not as mighty as England's famous stone circle, but America's Stonehenge is also shrouded in mystery. Nobody really knows who constructed the man-made chambers, walls and ceremonial meeting places, but parts of the site have been carbon dated to 4,000 years ago. There are supposedly Phoenician, Iberian Punic and Ogham, an early Celtic alphabet, inscriptions, although some think these could have been left by later indigenous peoples or be colonial graffiti. Great Serpent Mound, Ohio. The fascinating Great Serpent Mound is more than 1,300 feet, 396 meters long and 20 to 25 feet wide, and protrudes from the grassy ridge by up to 5 feet, 1.5 meters, making it the world's largest serpent effigy. It winds across a plateau in a snake-like shape and is believed to have been constructed by indigenous Ohioans. Archaeologists haven't been able to specify the culture or date. Estimates wildly vary from 321 BC to AD 1070. There are also 3 burial mounds nearby, 2 created by the Adena culture between 800 BC and AD 101 by the Fort Ancient culture, AD 1000 to 1650. Haygood Creek Petroglyph Site, Pickens, South Carolina. For hundreds or maybe thousands of years, the Haygood Creek petroglyphs lay hidden beneath a dirt road before being excavated in 2003. The boulder's 32 distinct petroglyphs show 18 humans and several abstract images. Today the ancient rock carvings are on display at the Haygood Creek petroglyph site. But experts haven't been able to pinpoint a specific era, nor exactly what the carvings were trying to communicate. Grave Creek Stone, Moundsville, West Virginia. During 19th century excavations of Grave Creek Mound, built between 250 and 150 BC, archaeologists uncovered this little sandstone disc dubbed the Grave Creek Stone. Some think it could be a hoax item, but attempted translations suggest Iberian Punic script, Old European or Libyan, depending on which way you turn the stone. Pictured here is the original beside one of its many copies. Horseshoe Canyon Rock Art, Canyonlands National Park, Utah. The Great Gallery is the best-known pictograph panel in Horseshoe Canyon, with well-preserved, life-sized figures, minus limbs, forming some of the most significant rock markings in North America. While they're characteristic of the Barrier Canyon style, 2000 BC AD 500, their exact dates are hard to know. Initially they were thought to be 2,000 to 4,000 years old, but in 2016 another study suggested instead that they were 900 to 2,000 years old. Miami Circle, Miami, Florida. When you imagine Miami, you likely think of candy-colored lifeguard huts, not pre-Columbian stone circles. And you'd especially not expect to find them slap-bang in the middle of downtown. The site was first discovered in 1998 and consists of 24 large holes, which form a circle nearly 40 feet, 12 meters, in diameter. Within this are hundreds of smaller, rectangular holes. They may have served as post holes for the wall of a circular structure, but there's no solid evidence. Hemet Maze Stone, Reinhardt Canyon, California. This curious petroglyph is made of interconnected shapes that form a pattern of mazes. The symbol has been used in indigenous American and Asian art for millennia, yet we don't know exactly who made this drawing or how old it is. Chinese Buddhist monks? Shipwrecked sailors? The prevailing theory attributes it to indigenous Californian artists, as it's similar to the Rancho Bernardo style found in other rock art in Southern California. The Blythe Intaglios, Blythe, California. The Blythe Intaglios are like an American version of Peru's Nazca lines. The oversized figures, the largest is 171 feet, 52 meters long, were probably created between 450 and 2000 years ago and are generally credited to the Mojave and the Quechan. We don't know their purpose, but they may be connected to sacred ceremonial dances once held in the area. They were only discovered in the 1930s by a pilot flying overhead. Dighton Rock, Berkeley, Massachusetts. In 1680, John Danforth spotted a partially submerged rock with mysterious carvings in the Taunton River. Dighton Rock is now preserved at a small museum, but we still don't know for sure who made the carvings, or why. It's most likely the work of indigenous Americans depicting an encounter or battle with visitors arriving by ship. But other theories claim it could be of Phoenician, Viking, Japanese, Chinese or even alien origin. The hidden city of Death Valley, California and Nevada. Could there really be a hidden city in Death Valley National Park? According to a 1947 report, in 1931 a man discovered a series of complex tunnels deep below Death Valley. One tunnel supposedly led to the surprising discovery of 3 mummified giants 8 to 9 feet, just under 3 meters, tall, hieroglyphics and an alleged ritual hall. There are other accounts of people discovering this mysterious spot too, and it matches a Paiute legend about the kingdom of Shin-Oav and a journey to an underground cavern. Judicula Rock, North Carolina. Largely believed to be Cherokee artwork, the Judicula Rock is a sandstone boulder with some 1,500 designs thought to have been carved between 1,500 and 300 years ago. According to Cherokee legend, it could have been a boundary marker for hunting grounds which the giant Judicula, master of animals, guarded. But some scientists argue that the Cherokee weren't known for this type of artwork, instead, it could be a remnant of an Ice Age tribe. And then there's the striking similarities with prehistoric stones in Scotland, nearly 4,000 miles, 6,437 kilometers, across the Atlantic. Cahokia, Collinsville, Illinois. Spread across 2,200 acres with a peak population of 25,000 to 50,000, Cahokia was built around AD 1050 with over 100 earthen mounds and a series of wood-henges, calendars made with red cedar posts that lined up with the rising sun on certain days of the year. Experts still aren't sure why they chose to build on a flood-prone area, nor why the site was eventually abandoned in AD 1350. Casa Grande Ruins, Coolidge, Arizona. Built by the ancestral Sonoran Desert people, Casa Grande was once part of a larger complex of adobe structures which contained a ball court and was surrounded by a wall. The site was abandoned around AD 1450, some 50 years before Columbus arrived, and rediscovered in the 17th century, when it was recorded simply as Casa Grande. Experts can't work out what purpose the 4-story building, pictured, served, a local gathering point, perhaps, or a waypoint marker. Bighorn Medicine Wheel, Wyoming. Bighorn Medicine Wheel, in northern Wyoming's Bighorn National Forest, is a stone circle usually covered in snow during winter. Come spring the snow melts away to reveal limestone rocks scattered in a wheel shape with spokes encased in a large circle. The mountaintop site dates to at least AD 1200 and forms part of a chain of Native American archaeological sites up to 7,000 years old. It's thought that the pattern was used to predict astronomical events such as the summer solstice, though no one knows for sure. Canishba Ruins, Arizona. Constructed between AD 1250 and 1350 by pre-Columbian Mogollon people, Canishba was a large Pueblo village that was abandoned in the late 14th century for reasons unknown. 9 buildings up to 3 stories high once contained 400 to 500 rooms, which housed some 1,000 occupants. The site lies in a grassy valley on land belonging to the White Mountain Apache tribe, so visitors are required to check in at the Nowike Bagawa Museum before visiting. Kensington Runestone, Minnesota. Rediscovered in Minnesota in 1898, the Kensington Runestone is inscribed with Scandinavian letters recording the movements of Vikings as they traveled on an exploration journey from Vinland to the west. It gives a date of AD 1362, some 130 years before Columbus's first voyage. Later examinations seem to confirm that it was actually a 19th century production, but some are still adamant, or hopeful, that it's from the 14th century. Berkeley Mystery Walls, California. Nobody knows who built this series of stone structures, also known as the East Bay Walls. They sprawl some 50 miles, 80 kilometers, through the hills between East Bay and Berkeley and San Jose, but are too low to be a defensive barrier. Among other oddities, one section precisely encircles a large boulder. Spanish settlers reported they were already here when they arrived, and when they asked the local indigenous Ohlone peoples, they said the same thing. All in all, Berkeley Mystery Walls is quite a fitting name. Fort Mountain Wall, Chatsworth, Georgia. Fort Mountain State Park is named after this 885-foot-long, 269 m, wall of loose rocks. A plaque marker at the site explains it could have been a prehistoric structure to do with sun worship or defense, the product of warfare between rival indigenous American tribes, a defense fortification for gold-hunting Spanish conquistadors, or a honeymoon haven for newly married Cherokees. Others believe it was built by the Moon-Eyed people of Cherokee folklore.